Okay, we're going to use the given graphs of f, which is in red, and g, which is in blue, to evaluate each expression or explain why it is undefined. So let's take a look at A. We have f of g of 2. So that means that we need to look at the input of t2 for g. So here is 2. And then what is the output on the function g? Well, that output is 5. So that becomes f of 5. And now what we need to do is now we're going to go down to the x-axis where we can find 5, which is right here, and we want to see what is the output for f. And therefore that answer is 4. Okay, next let's find b. So for b we want to find g of f of 0. So that means the input is 0 on the function f. So when it is 0, then the function f, the output is also 0. So therefore this becomes g of 0. And now if we look at g of 0, where 0 is the input on g, if we come up here we can see that it's the value of 3. So the answer is 3. Okay, let's take a look at c. So for c we have f composite g of 0, and by definition this is f of g of 0. So that means, okay, 0 is the input on g, so if 0 is the input on g, the output is 3 here. So that means we have f of 3. So now 3 becomes the input on f. So if we look at 3, well, that means that the output's going to be 0, so therefore the answer is 0. Okay, let's take a look at D. We have G composite f of 6, so this becomes G of f of 6. So if we find f of 6, and then we look up all the way to the graph up here, then what is the output here? Well, that gives us 6, so that means that's g of 6. Now if we go to 6 on the x-axis and try to find a point on the graph on g, well, it doesn't exist. So g of 6 does not exist. Therefore, it is undefined. Okay, part E, we want to find g composite g of -2. So we have g of -2. So let's see what happens when our input is -2. So here's -2, and then when we go up, it's going to give us +1. So we know that this becomes g of 1. So now when we have x being 1, well, what is the output on g? Well, the output's going to be +4. Okay, and the last one, part F. We have f composite f of 4. So writing out the definition, this becomes f of 4. So when we have an x value of 4, which is here, and then we go up to the graph on f, and we can see that the output is going to be 2. So now we want to find f of 2. So when we go to find the input when it is 2, and we need to figure out what is the output on F, that means we got to go down to this part, and we can see that this is going to be -2. So the answer is -2.